up or anything? Does anyone have?
It's just a cold, I swear.
I got $50.
Okay, here we go.
I'm happy tomorrow's the last game of rep soccer coaching.
Whatever that thing is I'm doing.
Yeah, whatever it is I do out there, I don't have to do it anymore after tomorrow.
I have it was amazing seeing all these kids dress up and have fun and their imagination with some of their costumes. So we had a lot of fun handing out candy.
I'll Venmo a couple happy dollars. I'm happy that, thank you all, because I was in Bahamas last week on y'all's dime, I appreciate it, for Rotary. However, I was there from Tuesday to Sunday, and I think I was outside a total of about 8 hours that whole time. So your dollars went to work to make sure that I was learning what I was supposed to learn. So thank you for the trip to Atlantis, and you can have it back.
Anyone else? All
A
right.
couple of happy dollars in the car. I'm glad to see so many people show up because it's cold and there's a lot of us here outside.
Yeah, that's true.
Yay!
All right, birthdays and anniversaries. We don't have any anniversaries. For club members, we have Carol Dotson and Greg Drescher, who both had a birthday on October 30th. And then for spouse birthdays for the month, we've got Sonia Haynes, Jane Silek, Jenny Stanley, and Robert Gulovich for this week. Laura, you have an announcement to make.
I do. So, board elections are coming up, they're there now. And I'd like to thank Peter Weissman and Aaron Pacelli for stepping up and running for the board, so they are our nominees. And at this point, I need to call for any nominations from the floor for board member for the 2024-25 year. No nominations. Alright. So, board members stand as they are with Aaron and Peter. Thank you again.
You have this good.
And Brett, you have an announcement.
I do. President-elect Holly, fellow Rotarians, every year we try to put together a yearbook for the previous president, and also send a copy to the Heritage Society to keep our records. And the past couple of years, since Facebook has kind of been our place that we keep our history, a nice company called My Social Book has allowed us to hit a button essentially with dates, and they bind it and print it up together. This year, Social Book has not been so friendly, so the first 6 months of Lori's tenure was not recorded in this book, so I then made a supplement and cut and pasted all the other posts, so it is in the back. But Lori, you want to come up here, and I'm going to give you, they're circling around right now if you want to look at them, but come on up and I'll give you both of them before you leave. So you can present it to the Heritage Society. So there you go. Thank you, Lori, right there. So, oh, we're gonna get a picture.
Michael's gonna get a picture, I think.
Got it.
Is it Michael?
Wait, we need this.
One and one more. Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Brittany was looking at it too. So.
Are there any other announcements? Go ahead.
All right, Doc Smith is coming up. We're collecting syrup and then stuffing. You know, like the 99-cent boxes of stuffing. So if you.
They're $1.98 now, but
Oh, really?
I got 5 in the trunk.
Okay, $1.98. So, but we need 100. We need 180 of those things. So if you all will help us with that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Attendance report?
President-elect Holly, fellow Rotarians, we have 18 in-member Rotarians today, for in person.
All right. And our speaker today is Dustin Haymaker, and Michelle Napier is going to announce him.
I wasn't told much, but Dustin, thanks for letting us visit with you today here. And he is the park manager, and then he also has with him his chief ranger
She's working on a project right now, so she filled me in, so.
Okay, well, he's gonna fill us in on what's been going on here and the visitor experience.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking.
Guys, thanks for coming out. Where do you want me?
Wherever you want to be.
I'll swing right here, so I don't have to make anybody crane awkwardly. Yeah, thanks for coming out. It's definitely turned out to be a pretty nice day though, so I'm happy. I'll give a little bit about myself, and I'll kind of go into the park and what we're trying to do. This is kind of a transitional time for the park. State parks in general, we are coming up on our centennial in the next few years. So 2036 is going to be 100 years for state parks, and so one of the big things that we're doing right now is trying to envision and trying to decide what Virginia State Parks, what Shenandoah River State Park is going to be for that time and then the next 100 years moving forward. And I'm just blessed beyond all measure to be up here. Not from the area. My family lives in Southwest Virginia. I kind of grew up in parks. I was very much a part of like state parks kind of in my middle school to high school years, and then I started doing YCC and helped build trails across Virginia. Then I met my wife in college, and she was from San Diego, and neither of us liked winter, so we skedaddled back to California. So I was there for the last almost 10 years, and then like a lot of people in 2020 when COVID hit, I started kind of like rethinking my life, and I've been working for a small business for a while at that point, and I really appreciated the business. We've been making a lot of good moves and everything like that, but I was kind of pining to come back to the East Coast and trying to convince my wife that the winters weren't as bad as she remembered, and then so we came back to Virginia in 2021, and I came to Natural Bridge as a park ranger, and then like a lot of y'all have experienced and across the board, turnover has been extremely high even within state parks, and so there was just movement all over, and so doors opened up, and I came here about a year afterwards. So it was a kind of a rock and roll in time. So I'm very much new to the park manager role. I've been here for roughly about a year, so I'm starting to understand at least where like the water lines are at. And I didn't know, funny enough, when I came here that we had a wastewater plant. That was very much, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know what DEQ was. So there's been a lot of roads and a lot of things we're having to cross. So, but I appreciate the support of the Rotary Club. I appreciate the support of the community. I'll give a little bit of numbers about how the park is contributing back to the community as far as employment and just some of our overall visitation. We've seen a little bit of a downturn from the 2020-21 years as far as just the volume of maybe campers into the park. But one of the biggest things we've seen is an uptick in our day visitors coming in. And day visitors actually spend more per group than just the overnight campers do. Because a lot of times the overnight campers will come, they'll stay here, and they might venture out a little bit, go to a couple of wineries and breweries and stuff like that, but they really they're kind of self-contained. They bring their own food and everything like that, whereas the day use has extremely been impactful for the area. So just a little bit about the park. If you don't know, or if you're not quite familiar, a lot of you probably know the park better than I do, but we're roughly about 1,600 acres, have about 25 miles of trails. We have 11 cabins, a little over 30 RV sites, and we have 12 primitive camping. And our primitive camping is kind of bougie, because I used to go out in the desert and sleep in the sand. This is much better than that. We're unique within state parks in that our camping cabins, it's open year round. And usually that's not the case. Right now, I was talking about winterizing the bathhouse. Typically, most parks shut down camping, and so it stops after usually November, and it won't open up again until spring. We are very unique in that we allow people to camp year round. Part of the reason being is actually the wastewater plant, because we actually need it operational throughout the year to keep it alive and keep things in check, so that way come summertime we're not playing catch up. So that's one of the reasons we do it, but it's very much a benefit for a lot of people because most parks, they slow down heavily during the winter months, and this one kind of shifts its priorities, but it keeps on rolling. So we maintain a really healthy population in our campgrounds, and then as we've all experienced, the leaf peepers come in hot and heavy after summer's over, and then we'll get a little bit of a reprieve, and then springtime starts back up, and we're rolling again. So we have roughly about 6 full-time staff, and then anywhere between 20 to 25 wage employees throughout the year, and then sometimes that'll come up as much as 40 during the summer times, which we've had a little bit of a tough time recruitment as far as like summertime wage positions, but all in all, people still really enjoy the mission of the parks, what we do, what we can provide, and we've seen pretty high level of returning employees come back after that. Just a few numbers so you can understand a little bit about what the park has been providing. So these are 2022, so we're expecting, again, a little bit of a downturn in some of the camping numbers, but as far as our date use, it's going to be significantly higher. So for the overall park visitors last year, we brought in roughly about 150,000 people to this park alone. Now, the economic impact and this is the local economic impact, they don't really divide it per county, so this is going to be split a little bit between Warren and Page County. But the day visitor spending is roughly about $4 million last year. Overnight, so these are the overnight guests, 2.4 million, and then within Virginia residents of those residential spending, about 3.9, and then non-resident spending coming into the state in the park was about 2.5. So a total within this area, about $6.4 million total spent. Job creation, so this is combined with what we provide as far as like direct impact jobs, the ones that we bring on, don the uniform, and also some of the indirect jobs that are brought out, like we are highly invested with the outfitters, and so a lot of what we do impacts what they do and vice versa. So total job creation last year was about 78 jobs total that went into the area between our parks and indirectly outside. Between that, some of the total labor between of like actually money that went to employees here in this area was about 3.4 million, and then a combination of state and local taxes that we provided back about $436,000 back into the community. So just from a number standpoint, the park is small, especially compared to other state parks, but has a very robust turnout. In the summertime, again, I came last summer and I thought I'd seen busy parks, and a summer weekend here was unlike I had seen before. I mean, this place is just hopping, which it's really cool though, because I've been going to national parks, been going to state parks, and seen a lot, and we have a very diverse crowd that comes to this parks, and so I like to call them the granola people. Come in the fall, you'll see them out on the trails doing that type of thing, but then you'll get a completely different clientele that come and enjoy it during the midday, and then we have a very strong mountain bike community, equestrian community, people that just enjoy watercraft and being on the water, and then we'll have we have a very large Hispanic population that comes here during the summer and enjoys the park as one of the very few public access points on a waterway in Virginia. They're fewer and fewer between now, so like, and a lot of those people really crave having that access to the water, and so we're able to provide that, not just to Virginia residents, but Maryland and I about said Northern Virginia because it feels like a different crowd towards DC, but we provide that to a lot. So we are really appreciative of like what we can give back to the community, being able to draw back into the community, and some of that. From a visitor experience standpoint, I told you it's a little bit of a transition year. This is the first year we've actually been able to dedicate full-time employment to a visitor experience. And when I say visitor experience, I mean a interpretive ranger. So somebody that's responsible for our programming, for actually a little more community interface. Because a lot of times, as manager, I'll get stuck in the. I spend a lot more time almost with a park ranger uniform on in front of a computer than I even did my old job. And so I get so bogged down, so we actually, for the first time in this park's existence, hired a dedicated full-time ranger to be completely devoted to the community. And so a couple of things that we put back into place this last year, we started the Junior Ranger program again last summer. It had been basically dead since 2019. It wasn't brought back because of COVID, and it was kind of a slow start. We're going to get the word out there a little bit more, but we had a completely booked second program, and then we actually started a Junior Ranger program for some of the local homeschool groups, and it has taken off like wildfire. So we're building out those programs for next year. This building back here that used to be the zipline building is being converted into a dedicated educational space. And so a lot of our programming is going to be initiated through there instead of just being used for storage. And so Megan, the chief ranger, was down here having some lunch. She's covered with paint right now because we're in the process of actually switching that over. We're going to put up interpretive displays about the history of the river, the history of the area, and going to start interfacing a lot with the community to build that out. Moving into next year, we're pretty excited about bringing back, we started a fly fishing camp that is very robust and going on. It was just a girls fly fishing camp, and now we're opening it up for younger boys and girls to come. They stay at the park, and they're, it does have a cost if they apply and they're not able to actually provide it. We actually help provide grants for that as well through like a lot of times like local organizations such as Rotary clubs to do that. So I would say like moving forward, like I said, we're really trying to focus on what we can do for the next 100 years. This park is going to be undergoing its new master plan development. It's going to have some community outreach for that because we're really trying to see like, well, we know people like to use the river. We know people like to use our trails. That's what parks are known for. What does the community want to see out of this park? What can we provide? Because as we know, a lot of people know when something like this is in their backyard, you just drive right past it and you don't even know it's here. And so what we want to do is try to figure out a way that we can involve the local community more so, not just be a destination for people coming in or for people that can't get into the national park, so they'll come on over here and try to figure out where our Skyline Drive is at. But that's Shenandoah River in its entirety. Right behind us actually is our new chief ranger of law enforcement, just brought on. So he's been a major boon to the park, and we enjoy having him here. So beyond that, yeah, what questions do you have?
Is there a similar like a annual pass for the whole state, all the state parks?
Yes. Yeah. So there is a it's exactly that. It's an annual pass. Every state park. This might be letting the cat out of the bag. There is some legislation getting turned around right now, and I don't know if it's going to make it through the meat grinder, but potentially Virginia residents will have access to state parks next year just with their ID. So I think they're going to set aside, because right now we're kind of split. 60% of our funding comes from general funds from the General Assembly, and then 40% comes from revenue we generate. They might be going towards a 100% general fund designation. In doing that, they're going to say all Virginia residents get access to the park with their IDs. So if you want it, we'll sell it to you, but maybe hold off. We'll see what happens next year.
It probably will happen because I bought my state park pass last month for all the parks. So since I already did that.
Exactly. There you go. It'll be commemorative. It'll be the last
That's
edition.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What's the name of this shelter?
This shelter, the Massanutten Shelter.
What's that sign say? And I'm not asking that, so I can't read it.
Oh, this shelter has been made possible thanks to the support of the Front Royal Rotary Club.
Hey, that's us here.
Our Rotary Club donated to make this one.
Mm-hmm. and we're gonna be doing a lot of work to it pretty soon. We got a little bit of work to do to the roof. We found out some of the shingle work wasn't laid quite right, and so like all things, once it starts leaking, that's when we find out we have problems.
Volunteer program?
Here at the park, we do have a friends group, and we're actively recruiting new members. I will say, across the board, we put out multiple volunteer programs, multiple things throughout the year. It's been hard recruiting volunteers, and it continues to be a challenge. So at the moment, that's one of the things that we just had a meeting with our friends group and friends groups around the area that are responsible for raising new volunteers and bringing them in and kind of funding some of that. A lot of it is trying to focus on what we can do to make it more appealing. Because right now we'll set up, clean river days and trail programs and stuff like that. Just try to get people out here. We do get a lot of support from the high schools that'll put together volunteer days, but yeah, we're always looking for more volunteers and people that want to help out.
So if I can be so bold,
yeah.
One of the best ways I think that you can get your message out is through some membership of some civic organization from some of the staff, Rotary. So if you're interested in, we'd love to have somebody from the park as a member of the club.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a great way to network and get the message and get volunteers.
For sure.
So,
Yeah, we could help Megan out quite a bit.
Yeah.
so if somebody would like to talk to one of these ladies over here, they can have a talk.
Most definitely.
Now, you may have said this and I missed it, I
Yeah.
apologize. I'm not sure if it was your predecessor or the one before that, but that person also oversaw Seven Bends. Do you also manage Seven Bends?
I did until last month I got fired. No, I'm just kidding. So Seven Bends is definitely, it's originally it was so small, kind of an offshoot that I actually look back in my job description because I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing over there right now? Because I don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot. It said I would provide management oversight. A couple of years ago, that was easier to do. Seven Bends, Woodstock really came together to actually create Seven Bends, and that was kind of birthed out of their love of that area and the history of that area. And so Seven Bends has grown very robust in its visitation, programming, everything like that. And so typically when the state brings on a new park now, they bring it on like fully staffed, so that way it's actually a little more autonomous. And I was getting to the point where I was so busy here that I was spending so little time over there. And I went to my boss and I'm like, hey, we're gonna have to do something. And he's like, yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. So they actually they actually set up their own park manager, and they brought on additional staff now to actually support that as its own entity. So that was last month. Bittersweet. It's a lovely park over there, and the town and everything's great. But it is hard splitting sides, especially when this one's just a lot more complex still. So, but yeah. So up till I guess Tony and then Veronica both they were spending quite a bit of time over 7 days. And it was a little easier. We lost, this happened in the park I was at before and now this one, but we lost the majority of our staff over the last year, just turnover, new jobs, opportunities, people leaving to take on other employments. And so there was a lot, it was very, very fluid over the last few months. And so in doing so required a lot more time. We took on complete management of our own wastewater system without actually having a wastewater manager for the first time ever. And so that was blind leading the blind for a little bit there. So, any other questions?
Did you do away with zip lining?
Zip line has been gone since 2020. Mm-hmm. Yep, it was. I can't speak ill or good of it. I never even saw it. I do know that one of the things that, again, that was kind of a test run for the parks because most of the time third-party organizations are not allowed to operate within the park unless it's maybe food service or something like that sometimes. But one of the things we're looking at is West Virginia, for instance, it has a very robust kind of resort style park setup, and a lot of times people want that. They want a destination where it's a little more so than just the traditional park things, the trails and nature. And so there might be a possibility that something like that comes back. At the moment, we're not probably going to be piloting anything because our next big focus is probably going to be to expand the camping that we have here because we have so few cabins and campgrounds. So we're probably going to try to be adding more trails and some more cabins and stuff like that. Anything else?
What's your favorite trail?
Ooh, my favorite trail. My favorite trail is Bear Bottom. I love Bear Bottom. I can walk to it straight from my house, and so I can go onto it, and it takes me an hour and a half to do the entire thing. I love it. I love it. A lot of times, even when the park is just slammed, nobody's there, so it's great. You can just get out and have some time just to decompress.
What's the one thing you wish our surrounding community would know or take advantage of with the park here?
When I talk to people in the community, everybody knows that it's so busy on the weekends here in the summer, and so everybody's like, "Man, is it still like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it still is," but a lot of people will avoid the park. I feel like just because they know it's either busy or they don't know they don't know the interpretive programming we're having, and so something like this might help where we can get the word out there a little bit more. So what I really want people to do is know that we're offering different types of activities. The park isn't necessarily quite as busy as they think, just because they see it on a weekend and there's a line backed out. I know weekends are prime time for everybody that's working, but a lot of times on a Saturday, even in the summer, it's pretty empty. You can just come out and enjoy it. Bring the family, use the picnic area, get on the river. A lot of this is there, and a lot of people do, but most people I talk to are like, "Andy Gus, yeah, we haven't been there in a while." I'm like, come on over. So I always butcher the word, so I'm not gonna try to pronounce any Japanese in front of you. But the idea, one of the reasons why I came to state parks and came back is because we get so bogged down between our phones, email, what's going on with family, what's going on at work, that there's just constant overwhelming stress. One of the reasons I talk about Bear Bottom is even working here, I can go for weeks without even seeing trails, just because I get so bogged down in managing the resource, managing the park. And there's this extreme benefit, and it's actually has scientific evidence about reducing stress, blood pressure, things like that, just spending up to 30 minutes surrounded by a canopy of woods. Again, I'm not going to say the Japanese word, but it's called forest bathing. And so having that accessibility, especially if it gets opened up and you can just show your Virginia ID and come in and just spend 15 minutes, spend 30 minutes and be able to decompress from the week, I think can really help people's mental state out and really just benefit them. So that's what we're trying to offer.
Are the trails runnable, or are they just?
Oh yeah.
So you could rock it.
A lot of our trails are depending on the difficulty class you want. We have a lot that are just flat too.
I just want to make sure I'm not dropping those rocks.
Oh yeah. So a lot of our trails are the one goes out there is it's all boardwalk going down to the river. There are going to be roots and rocks and some, but some are just gravel. The Colors Trail is an old roadway, and so yeah, it's really great for running.
Or get them accessible.
Mm-hmm. So there's a big push right now. We're working on getting some better accessibility as far as parking down towards the southern end, but that entire stretch is it's not we can't designate it completely ADA accessible right now, but it's very accessible as far as terrain, pitch, and the amount of gravel. One of the things we're going to be piloting next year, if we get the money, is it's actually going to be based out of this building as a track chair program. And a track chair is basically a wheelchair it's a motorized wheelchair with track on it, so a tank track, and it's designed to actually take people who have zero mobility even into trails, not just trail light, where they're on a road, but actually into the trails. And so we're actually designating a section of trail towards this in the park that they'll be able to check the track chair out for free, and then take it into the actual trail itself, and then bring it back. So
how much does this cost?
I think closer to 25,000, 18 to 25, depending on the model. So we put in for a few grants. The state is like, a lot of states are doing this right now, and so Virginia's a little bit behind. So I think they're going to bring on 4, and they're going to make us, if they do it, they're going to make us one of the pilots for it. So yeah, we'll just be able to have that as a reservation type thing.
Do you have a brochure that explains all the activities here in the park?
Yes, we put it out monthly. So yeah, one of the things that Megan, I can get her to do is she sends it out to each of the chambers in both in Page and into Front Royal, and we're just trying to figure out like who we should start putting these out to.
We've got them in the visitor center too.
I know we have the visitor center.
Come see us. We
Yeah.
got them in the visitor center. Mhm. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I think you have one cabin, I'm thinking of a retreat kind of thing. A company wants to get 4 or 5 of their administration away from the business.
Sure.
And the bigger cabin, I guess you have is, how many bedrooms?
How many, Connor? I know it sleeps 16, but some of those are bunk beds. So
Yeah, probably 6 bedrooms total.
yeah, I think it is. It's 6 bedrooms. It's four smaller, and then 2 masters. If the company's closed, they can bunk bed it if they want to. But now that being said, all of our cabins are relatively close. So we have had several companies that will even rent a couple of the cabins together, and do it like that too. Any other questions?
And horseback riding, you have somebody, actually you have somebody here you can schedule horseback riding with?
So no, we don't offer any horses. Our trails, almost all of our trails are equestrian accessible, just with the exception of a couple of them. And so we have a lot of use on the trail just from people bringing, we have a parking lot that's our horse lot that you're able to bring your trailers into and then take on the trails from there. So we have a lot of use.
So people bring their own horses?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that we'll have meetups, and that entire parking lot will be full of trailers, and everybody's out riding on the trails. Pretty fun. All right, y'all. Well, thank you again for letting me present parking.
I actually hike the trails out here a lot, so especially this time of year, because I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
get up on the drive.
That's right.
I do not think we have any 50-50, right? All right, so our next meeting is next Friday at First Baptist Church, correct? Okay. Any other announcements or anything? All right, please stand to recite the 4-way test. Nothing things say or do. First is the truth. Second is fair to all concerned. Third will build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you so much. Sarah, can you ding the bell for me? Ding. All right.